I catfished a bully for 2 to 3 months then broke his heart before finals. For context, I was in college when this happened and this jock was loud, obnoxious, and a full-on bully to anyone too weak to fight back. He never bullied me because we were roughly the same size and he knew that, but decided to be a passive-aggressive prick by blasting music in his dorm, which was above mine, at night. Despite trying to get the RAs to handle the situation, nothing happened so me and some of his victims decided to get even. The first step was to set up a Grindr account with a fake user. One of his victims found out he was a closeted gay when he saw him on the app during class and got his username. I made the account and used it to catfish him for roughly 2 to 3 months. During this time we discussed how similar our situations were. I made up a story of being closeted too, and he admitted to much of the bullying stuff he did but said he felt remorseful for it. I didn't believe him and thought he was only saying that to get laid. He even brings up how he was bothering me and others I didn't know indirectly because we were some of the few people that weren't intimidated by him and he felt like a coward for doing so. Most of our talks were just him venting and me giving him reassurance. On the rare occasion we sexted and I had to send him a picture of my nuts a few times. He had a weird ball fetish. During finals month, I gave all the screenshots of our convo to his victims then decided to hit him with the mother of all breakups. I accused him of leaking our DMs to his buddies to brag and showed him that the logs were posted on the school site and some Twitter posts, before telling him I hated him then blocked him. After that I completely nuked both the Grindr account and the Gmail account I made for it. Hell, I never used it on my personal devices, because I didn't want the cookies or data saved to it, so I just used it through public computers or one of the victim's devices. Anyway, after that went down I never heard loud music at night. Nobody ever figured out it was us or really just didn't care enough to investigate who made all those posts or where the screenshots came from. I don't know what happened to him outside of failing his classes that year because he was depressed and heartbroken. Overall, it was only after everything was said and done that I was like, did we go too far? I also want to clarify that I had no idea they actually exposed him like that. I thought they made a fake webpage using HTML to make the break seem genuine, but no, they actually did. I found out my boyfriend had a wife. Revenge story. So as the title says, I once found out that my boyfriend had a wife and was not indeed separated from her and getting divorced as he said. I found out because his wife messaged me. Apparently it's not the first time he's pulled this bullshit either. So I came up with a petty revenge plan that I think was iconic. We called it the Mambo No. 5 plan. I created several fake accounts using different phone numbers from virtual SMs and messaged him from multiple platforms to make it look like he had a different method of communicating for each girl to keep them separate. He'd talk to Rita on Insta, Monica on Facebook, etc. And the messages sent was a version of the lyrics from Mambo No. 5 by Lou Bega. Here's what they were. Monica, I need you in my life. Erica, felt so good when you fucked me sideways. Rita, you're all I need to be happy. Tina, I know it's complicated but I only have eyes for you. Sandra, I miss seeing you in the gym. Why don't you train anymore? I hope it's not cause of our post-workout sub-sessions together. Mary, when you coming for another sleepover? Jessica, I'm here if you need to talk. Tried to stick closely to the original lyrics, Toxic AF Mambo No. 5, just like the original I sent them in a mixed-up order to and he never cottoned on that someone was messing with him. I let his wife know what I was up to and we took it in turns over a few weeks to discover these messages. The look of fear when I'd asked to use his phone for different reasons was priceless. Then after a few weeks of fun making his life hell and she'd sorted out her affairs and got a lawyer, we both dumped his cheating ass. It was petty I know but my inner feminist is still happy at using that misogynistic song to take revenge on one. I want to destroy his life for cheating. In July my ex-fiancé announced he wanted a break to focus on himself. I was sad but tried being understanding while he stayed at his friend's house most nights the next couple weeks. He left a random mess next to his gym bag, clothes/papers/miscellaneous. I started cleaning it up when I noticed a paper with handwriting on it. It was a love note from some random girl. At the end the note said Heart Maddie, so I posted a picture with the note and my ex in a Facebook group that exposes cheaters. His family, co-workers, friends, and mystery woman all saw and commented about how shitty he is. Turns out she is a co-worker he met at a job he started a couple months before, never mentioned me. I told the other girl literally about all his shortcomings. How he love bombs the first few months then it all stops. How he finishes in 2 strokes but doesn't care if you come. How over half his checks go towards his truck and he won't help with rent because the rest of his money goes towards his dirt bike. We both end up dumping his ass. She's a young party girl who is popular and ends up talking lots of shit about him to all his coworkers. This even travels to his last workplace where he was a supervisor. People at his parents' church tell them they're disappointed in him. For a guy who really tries hard at looking good this has hurt his ego but I still feel like he deserves worse. So we're at the end of October, I had moved out on my own and minding my own business. He texted me a sad sounding message and mentioned filing bankruptcy, trying to get sympathy/someone to talk to. I ignored his message and had sex with someone else for the first time. I hate being mean, but I am good at it when someone hurts me. I record a video of me flushing the ring down the toilet. I messaged my ex back with a vid, tell him I'm fucking someone else, and a sexy selfie. When we first broke up I was 160 pounds. I wanted him to see my new 125 pounds body and got a significant pay raise so I'm feeling confident. He was obviously upset but I feel like he brought all this on himself. As far as I know he's miserable right now. He's still binge watching 7 episodes a night of the same show. He finished NCIS series from beginning to finish since I moved out lol. I feel like I have my revenge. I hope he never cheats on someone else again with this lesson. Honestly I was so trusting and I feel like it doesn't compare to the pain I felt from the betrayal. Landlord had to pay big. When I, 62F, was about 19 years old I rented a small 1-bedroom duplex. The other part of the duplex was a 2BR unit that the landlord daughter lived in. The landlord's house was on the same property and there was a shared driveway that split and went to each place. This will come up later. My rent was due on the 10th of each month. The landlord had the utilities all on one and charged me in the middle of the month according to usage. One month I walked up to her house to pay the rent. I always paid it on the first Wednesday of the month. She didn't answer the door. I tried again later in the day and still no answer. I tried again the next day. Still no answer and I knew she was home. This time I had the check in an envelope and left it in the door slot. This was on the 6th of the month. I had a feeling something was up. The landlord was avoiding me. The next day I came home from work and there was a 24-house notice to vacate for non-pay. I tried contacting the landlord, she wouldn't respond. This was on the 8th of the month. The next day the landlord shut off my electricity and gas heat. It happened to snow that day. I went down to the legal aid office and although they couldn't go to court with you, they could give advice and the attorney called my landlord to see if they could help resolve whatever was going on. The attorney advised who he was and where was from. The landlord barely let him get this out. She started screaming at him so loud I could hear her. She said no government employee or anyone was going to tell her how to run her properties and hung up. The attorney looked at me and said we're going to fry her a. This where the driveway comes into play. It is a single dirt road which splits and goes to my place or farther to her house. By the time I got home and was pulling in my driveway there was sheriff's car in front of her house. Apparently, the legal aid attorney had filed a restraining order against my landlord due to her shutting off my gas heat which was a threat against me. The landlord called legal aid and she was told she needed to get an attorney since she wasn't willing to work with a government employee. After all was said and done, I got 45 days to move, 3 months rent, utilities, and deposits paid plus $5,000. That was a lot of money back then, probably 10 times of what it would be today. And the reason for all of this? Her other daughter was moving from Hawaii and she wanted unit for her. Instead of just giving me a 30-day no-cause notice she did it her way and it cost her a lot of money. I never did talk to her again. But I do know she couldn't use her driveway until I moved. I got revenge on my brother. So I 17, FM, finally got revenge on my brother 23, M. All my life my brother has had anger issues and likes to break things when he gets mad but he never faces the consequences because my parents could never punish him. Anyway yesterday he got mad again and went on the porch of our house and broke his salt lamp all over our porch and front yard. I was outside to take my trash out and found pieces of salt all over our yard and at the time I didn't know what it was. So I went to my brother's room very calmly and very nicely asked him to clean up his mess. He said that he was busy, playing Minecraft, and he'd do it later. I told him that he should do it now and he called me a dipshit. I just walked away. Then pretty sure he told my mom I was bossing him around but I asked her if he had cleaned it up yet and she said no he didn't but he said that it was just salt. This got me really pissed so when my mom left I cleaned up the salt shards, put them in a baggie which took me like 30 minutes to an hour and then scattered the salt shard all over his bed. And because that wasn't enough I got some more salt and drew a smile face next to everything and put a note on his bed saying oh don't worry it's just salt smile. Anyway I'm probably gonna get in trouble but I don't care anymore, he deserves this. Update, he doesn't get home till Saturday. Hess at my grandma's house right now as he works for my aunt's company. Anyway so I went back in his room and now there's cat throw up smack dab in the middle of the bed. Also has a twig and him 3 times as strong as he is so I think I'll be okay if he wants to try anything. Update 2, it's a month later and I'm very sorry for not updating, I'm not on Reddit much anymore. But my dad found out that I put the salt on his bed and cleaned it up. My brother has no idea I ever did it and I feel maybe it's better that way. I kept having nightmares of my brother getting his revenge on me for putting salt in his bed. Like I said I'm bigger than my brother and could beat him up easily but he has some very scary things about him and I don't want to mess with it. Hopefully he'll get my revenge one day in another way. But when I'm out of the house I'm 100% never talking to him again. Smile. The pettiest thing I've ever done. So many years ago, this guy will call be married a friend of mine. He wound up cheating on her with another girl will call S who he wound up marrying after the divorce. It wasn't really my sphere, but I was aware of it. Fast forward a few years, and my wife is taking classes at the guy's gym while we're having problems and infidelity ensues. It only happened a few times before I caught them. Dude offers to do anything to keep me from telling his wife. Counseling and work on both our parts, my wife and I recover and are still together. For 10 long years, it's still been a sore spot that the bastard got off relatively scot-free, but I've tried to be the bigger human. That ended a few weeks ago. Dude was a vendor at a festival we attended and tried to talk to my wife and I while we were walking by his booth. I told him to fuck off, but did see his Facebook business info etc. on his trailer. Checked it out and he was posting about his 10-year wedding anniversary and tagged his wife. I waited until that night, and then dragged up the emails and details of his bullshit, and then sent it to her via Facebook message. Waited until it was read and watched the carnage unfold. My only guilt in the matter is that his wife didn't technically deserve this, but she cheated with him first, so I think I'll sleep fine.